again. Thank you so much, Zafar. Assalamualaikum, all participants. It's very nice to see some very familiar faces, people I know well. We've shared the same panel many times. I want to pick up actually 3 strands of thought that I've been listening to from Dr. Ghulam Nabi Mir, from President Sardar Masood Khan, and also from Sanjay Kak. And the first point is that Dr. Mir talked about the umpteenth time. We are talking about Jammu and Kashmir for the umpteenth time. How long are we going to be talking about Jammu and Kashmir before there is a resolution? President Khan talked about the younger generation. And it's true, it is the younger generation. I was interested and shocked really to hear that Dr. Mir was born in 1947. He is as old as the dispute it is himself. But yet now I am myself talking to a whole new generation who were not born when I first started work on the Kashmir issue in the late 1980s, early 1990s. So are the inability of the previous generations to resolve this issue going to be landed on yet another generation so that they too suffer? And the third point was Sanjay Kak's statement, 75 years, it's a blink in a civilization. It's a blink in the eye of history. You know, when we've done our history, I'm a graduate of history in the United Kingdom. We talk about the 100 Years' War. We sort of forget the 100 Years' War. We might deal with it in a paragraph. So these points I really want to emphasize in what I'm saying, that enough is enough. And where can we draw the strength? Where can we find the visionary leadership? And I'm not saying anything novel. Many people have said this before, but it requires leadership that will really address the issue. And whether that comes from the civil societies in the regions that are affected, or in civil societies elsewhere who feel it's upon their moral conscience that they must do something. I feel very strongly myself. I live in the comfort of London. I enjoy freedom of liberty, freedom of expression, freedom of movement that my friends in Kashmir do not enjoy. They cannot, for example, I'm a journalist, my journalist friends, they can't write what they want to write because of fear of reprisals. And so somewhere we have to draw a pool of interlocutors who will really force that leadership on all sides, in all locations, to say, enough's enough, the people have suffered too much. And I feel, you know, from a humanitarian point of view, because this is a humanitarian issue, we can talk about lines, we can talk about the line of control, we can talk about the line of actual control, but we're talking about individuals who suffer. And we only have maximum 100 years to live. You know, if we're lucky, we maybe only have 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, if we're lucky. And so it's this feeling that this young generation are growing up in conflict. And we haven't talked so much about the effects, but the effect of growing up in conflict, in trauma, it creates a certain psychology, which you know shouldn't be visited on one generation and another generation and another generation. Last year, I was lucky enough before 5th of August to be in the Valley of Kashmir, and I spoke at a school. I spoke to young students of 15, 16, 17, and I listened to their aspirations about what they thought they wanted in life. And my speech, my presentation was motivational. It was, yes, you know, you study hard, you do your exams, you respect your teachers, you respect your fellow students, you know, you can have a future. And this is what these Kashmiris, just like us, for our children, they want. And I think, as I say, you know, having studied the issue for so many decades now, I've grown old myself with the issue. And I think what we really need is this lobbying pressure, whether it comes from our webinars, from our seminars, from our talks, to the leadership, to show some humanity. And as I said in an earlier webinar this morning, you know, the Indian government claims that the Kashmiris are citizens. do you treat your citizens like this? How can you expect loyalty and affection for the state when your citizens are treated so badly? You know, what has happened in this past 1 year, far from integrating and building the sort of feeling of being Indian, from what I understand from the people I'm lucky enough to be in touch with, all it's done is alienate, further alienation, as I say, these young people, this new generation. And surely that can't be right for your citizenry, whether you're, whichever country you're in. And I'm not saying there aren't human rights abuses in other countries, but it doesn't seem to be the way forward. The way forward has to be a dialogue. We've had talks and talks. We look at the 62, 63 talks. We look at talks after this, talks there, talks between India and Pakistan, talks between India and China. But there has to be this commitment to dialogue with this leadership that says, enough is enough. We need our people to live in peace because, by the way, we have a demographic time bomb ourselves. We're running out of water. We need money for poverty eradication, for development, for education. That's where we need to be spending our resources, not on military confrontation between these great powers, which, as you've heard earlier, always on the horizon is the threat of a nuclear exchange. And so with those words, this entreaty that we must keep focused, because the ultimate objective is not conflict, it's consensus through dialogue. Thank you so much.